Hey, it's Matt Morris. Welcome to lesson number 2 in our 5-day series on how to go from amateur to professional in network marketing. In the last video, I talked about the deepest part of the foundation for success, which is getting your belief system right. And one of the strategies that I've used to get my belief system to where it needs to be, it's from modeling the belief system of others as it relates specifically to network marketing. So that kind of leads me to one of today's principles, which is to find a mentor. So let's talk about this. See, when I was 21 years old and I was living out of my little red beat-up Honda Civic, I learned about the concept of modeling. And modeling basically says if you want to have huge success in life, find someone who has it, learn how they got it, do what they did to get it, and you'll have it yourself. Or, as I say in my book, The Unemployed Millionaire, why invent the average when you can copy genius? So what I did for years is that I'd buy all sorts of different books from different authors and I'd read them. And that's good, but good is the enemy of great. If you really want to have huge success, there is a better exercise, and that's to find one or maybe two mentors and devour everything that they have. See, when I was living out of my car, I didn't have access to any network marketing mentor. I had listened to a Tony Robbins cassette who taught me about the concept of modeling, and that very instant when I learned it, I decided, you know what, Tony Robbins is going to be my mentor from afar. I decided that if I wanted to have his kind of lifestyle, listening to his cassettes alone wasn't going to be enough. I decided I was going to listen to every audio he put out. I was going to read every book that he had, and I was going to go to every seminar that he had available. And what happened is that because I really related to his story, I knew he had a level of success that I wanted. I was able to really understand his overall philosophy and internalize it so that I could in turn have similar levels of success. And I remember going to one of his events, and he presented his Mastery University. It was 3 seminars for $10,000. And at the time, I didn't have $10,000, so that was a huge stretch. But again, I knew if I wanted the lifestyle he had, I couldn't afford to not spend the $10,000. I was afraid to spend that much money, but there was a quote that I had committed to memory, and that was, "Fear is temporary, regret is forever." Now, a couple years after finding Tony Robbins, I ended up meeting my network marketing mentor. Now, this was someone who was actually in my upline. It was a company I enrolled in, so I had a bit more direct access to him. And instead of being able to just train me on personal development and on mindset, he could actually do that, but he could also give me specific training on network marketing. Now, this was the biggest quantum leap in my career. You see, I had read a couple dozen books on network marketing. I had been to a bunch of network marketing events, so I had a pretty wide range of knowledge. But there was just something magical when I had one mentor that I could learn everything from, specifically relating to the profession I was involved in. So from the mindset to the prospecting, inviting, closing, presenting, leadership, everything that's required to be a millionaire in network marketing. You see, my mentor, Wayne, he had already built a downline of over 100,000 people. He had already earned over $1 million. So I knew what he was telling me. It wasn't theory, it was skills and principles that actually worked. And with Wayne, I not only learned all of his teachings, I also studied his mannerisms. So not just what he said, but how he said it. And I decided that I was going to stop trying to reinvent the wheel and I would be coachable. So if he told me to read a book, I read it immediately. If he told me to listen to an audio program, I did it. If he said, you go to this training event, I just bought it. I went. So I was the definition of coachable. And he'll tell you this if you ever get a chance to meet him. I was his most coachable student that he ever had. And what's interesting is that, to my knowledge, I've also been the most successful student that he ever had. See, what Wayne taught me was that to be a great leader, you also have to be a great follower. And I say that with a note of caution because he also gave me a word-for-word quote out of David Schwartz's book, The Magic of Thinking Big, that says it's well to respect the leader, learn from him, observe him, study him, but don't worship him. Believe that you can surpass. Believe that you can go beyond. Those who harbor second-best attitudes are invariably second-best doers. So my advice to you is to find 1 or 2 mentors, ideally someone in your company or at least someone specific to network marketing, and learn everything that they can teach you. See, when you listen to their techniques, listen as if you're going to be required to give a training on what they're teaching you the very next day. Take notes, put those notes in a journal where you're going to have access to them all the time. So remember, the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. So watch your mentor like a hawk. Make it your goal to not only learn everything they can teach you, but learn from others as well so that one day you can ultimately surpass them all. Have big thinking. And this concept really goes side by side with my next principle. Now, this strategy is one that hit me like a ton of bricks when I heard it. And I actually got angry. I was angry with myself when I heard it because it's so incredibly simple and I had just never applied it. In fact, it's so simple, almost no one follows through with it, and that strategy is to become an expert. Become an expert. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, right, becoming an expert is easy. Well, I would have thought the exact same thing before someone shared this concept with me. I was actually on a teleseminar one night and there was a multimillionaire that was leading the call. And what he said was, my definition of an expert is someone who is in the top 1% knowledge level compared to everyone else in the world. So here's how he explained it. He said, when you read 5 books on one single subject, that's more than what 99% of all the other people in the world will ever learn on that one particular topic. So to be in the top 1% knowledge level on any subject, you're only 5 books away. Now, when you look at it like that, it does sound pretty simple to become an expert, right? Well, my desire to become successful was enormous. So I decided to take this concept to another level. I made a commitment that I would become an expert in network marketing. So instead of reading only 5 books, I would actually read every book or audio or video program I could get my hands on. So I ended up reading a couple dozen books. I listened to another dozen or so audio courses on the subject of network marketing, and I saw an immediate increase in my success. So I decided to take it to another level. And here's how. I decided I would go through every course, every book, as if I had to give a training on the information the very next day. So what I did is I'd read and I'd listen and I'd create a journal. And I basically took notes on anything that I saw as potentially valuable information. It was kind of like doing a book report on every course or every book that I did. And by taking notes, I created what now I consider to be a multi-million-dollar journal. And what happened is, as I started to grow my network marketing business, I could refer to the journal over and over again. And you know what happened? That journal has been one of the most powerful reference guides, and it's really, I think, a secret to my success in network marketing, because at a moment's notice, I can give an hour-long training on a ton of different subjects on network marketing, because all I have to do is open up my journal, I pick a few pages to talk about, and voila, I'm an expert trainer. See, I can still remember, I remember this like it was yesterday, 24 years old, and I'd get on conference calls with my team, and at the time I was not very confident in my abilities, but I'd spend about 30 minutes before the call and I'd just go through my outline for my journal about what I wanted to talk about. And so when I was on the call, I'd basically read almost word for word what I had written in my journal, and you know what? After the call, everyone was like, oh my God, that was such a great training. They were raving about how great it was, and I even shocked myself. I'd listen to the replay of the audio, and I was like, wow, I'm pretty good. So next, I decided to become an expert in leadership, which I believe everything rises and falls based on leadership. So if you want to build a huge network marketing business, you better get good at leadership. So what I did is I went through about a dozen books and audio programs. I took pages and pages of notes in my journal, and it was interesting. All of a sudden, people started telling me I was this amazing leader, and all because I suddenly knew more than 99% of everyone else, and I applied the knowledge. See, you see, the secret to my success is that I'm no smarter than anyone else. I'm just smart enough to know this strategy, and I'm 100% confident that I can become a millionaire in just about any industry in the world by applying this strategy, because I know that almost everyone else is simply too lazy to do it. See, I read a book years ago. It was written by John Paul Getty, who at one point, he was the richest man in the world. And he made his fortune mostly in the oil business in the early 1900s. And what happened was, back then, most people would just drill for oil based on, success and kind of luck, right? And so Mr. Getty, he read and he studied everything he could get his hands on about geology. And because he studied geology and the nature of where to drill, instead of just relying on luck alone or his gut instinct, he quickly became one of the most successful oil men in the world. See, it amazes me how simple this really is to become an expert, to put yourself in the top 1%. See, when you know 99% more than everyone else, your chance of success is infinitely greater. So my friend, take today's lesson seriously. Apply it to your network marketing career. Do not be an amateur any longer. Commit to going pro. Now, in day number 3, I'm going to go deep into the mind of your prospect. In fact, I'm going to teach you the psychological triggers that cause them to take action. When you understand tomorrow's lesson, you are going to be well on your way to becoming truly a masterful recruiter. So I'll see you tomorrow.